Before we hop in the video today, just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, happy holidays. Hope everybody's staying safe. Hope you guys are enjoying time with your family. Can't thank you guys enough for all the support you guys have shown us, helping us get to over 90 subs. We're about 8 away from 100. That's a huge milestone for us. So thank you all, and let's hop on in the video. Just me this week. Greg's on vacation with the fam. Got quite a scuffed setup here, if I do say so myself, but that just adds a little bit of charm. We're going to make it work. At number 40, we got Darrell Henderson. What can I say about this running back by committee? Nobody likes a running back by committee, first of all. They're taking on the 49ers defense this week. 8 carries for 5 yards on a 0.6 average. That is truly atrocious, but if you got to play one of the Rams running backs, he's the one you want to play. He played 46% of snaps. Let's just hope he can maybe find the end zone. But if you have to play Darrell Henderson, you're hurting already. Moving on to number 39, we got Jerick McKinnon taking on the Rams. Raheem Mostert should be back, but I'm leaning towards Jerick McKinnon should help him ease back into that workload. Mostert has been anything but healthy this year. Gets hurt pretty much every time he comes back. So I don't think they'll give him the full workload. I think Jerick McKinnon maybe gets some passing work, but not going to see that big production he was getting when everyone was out. A solid fill-in, though. At 38, we have Zack Moss. What can I say about the Buffalo Bills running game other than Josh Allen? It has just been terrible. They're taking on the Chargers, so that's the silver lining, I guess. The last week he played, he had a bye week last week. So week 10, he led the backfield in snaps with 53%. He always plays well, I would say. It doesn't look like he can't be a starting NFL running back, but when Josh Allen's the touchdown vulture, you can't do much. Hopefully he can get that running game going against the Chargers. Josh Allen loves to run, though, so I'm tending to stay away from this backfield just altogether. At 37, we got Frank Gore taking on the Dolphins. Quite a tough matchup. The good thing here, though, is not good for LaMichael Pirine, but good for Frank Gore, I guess. He has been LaMichael Pirine has been placed on IR, so the ageless wonder is back in play. He's third all-time in rushing yards and number 1 in Greg's heart. Greg's favorite player, hands down. Every week he talks to me and he's like, yo, I wish we could just put Frank Gore on the list. I really want to talk about him. So sucks he can't be here today. My time to shine. Overall, though, I think Frank Gore, Adam Gase, and Joe Flacco is probably the least amount of talent you can have for your starting offense, but I think they're going to make it work. I could see Frank Gore getting another touchdown. He had one this past week. Yeah, I think he had 15 PPR points. So he's still making it work somehow. It's actually incredible. Up next at 36, we got Duke Johnson Jr., one of the biggest disappointments whenever David Johnson went down. He's taken on the Lions. He's really just yet to show that he can produce with the full workload. He's averaging 2.8 yards per carry. The O-line is terrible, but at some point you got to make plays on your own. Duke Johnson has yet to do that, yet to show that he can even make anything happen, especially it was something where you would think, okay, yeah, he'll get some work out of the backfield in the passing game, but he's just yet to show that he can really do anything with the opportunity that he's given. So I'm tending to just avoid him altogether. The Lions matchup is pretty good. This is one of those players, though, that you start doubting and he could have a 2-touchdown game just because of how explosive the Texans offense is. But if you have better options, definitely stay away from Duke Johnson Jr. At 35, we have James White taking on the Cardinals. James White is back. Rex Burkhead, RIP, suffered a knee injury this week. Likely that will be his season. It is really unfortunate, but James White's going to take over his role that he lost to Rex Burkhead. He's going to see the passing work. He's going to see the third down role most likely. Not a lot of carries headed his way, but should have some good passing yardage. A couple of PPR points here and there. Solid play, I would say. This is what I would say. James White is where you get to a play where you're feeling okay about it. At 34, we have Phillip Lindsay taking on the Saints. The Saints defense has just been on a tear. The Denver Broncos offense, definitely not. Very untrustworthy. That defense is so stout. I don't see a lot of production coming from this game on the Denver side. He does still see, Phillip Lindsay, that is, does still see a lot of volume. He had a 42% snap count last week. Still very explosive. When he touches the ball, he looks like he should be the starting running back, but somehow Melvin Gordon still manages to get the touchdowns because he gets all the goal line work. So he's more of a between the red zone kind of guy. So he's going to be in that middle of the field, big yardage plays, but unless he breaks off a huge touchdown, he probably won't see one unless it's from a pass. At 33, we have Leonard Fournette. And damn, dude, what is happening with these Tampa Bay running backs? He reemerged again as the dime back that Bruce Arians talked about. It looked like he lost his role just as quickly as he gained it, but now he's back. It's a shit show. Like, let's be honest. The Chiefs offense is so explosive that he should see a lot of production this week, but they're so untrustworthy in that backfield that if you're banking on a Tampa Bay running back, you're not going to be in for a good week. 52% of snaps. So I guess that's something to look at last week when it was looking like he was just going to be relegated back to his role because Ronald Jones looks so explosive that 190 plus yard game he had, but doesn't look like that's going to be the case. At 32, we have Melvin Gordon. Touched on it earlier with Phillip Lindsay. They're taking on the Saints. Tough defense. The reason I have him higher than I have Phillip Lindsay is strictly just he's going to see the goal line. 52% of snaps compared to Phillip Lindsay's 42% last week. So he's out snapping him and he's seeing the goal line works. He doesn't look as good. He's not getting as many yards per carry, but they want to feed him. He is a workhorse back, so it's good to know that he's probably going to avoid injury. At 31, we have Ronald Jones II taking on the Chiefs. Just talked about Leonard Fournette. It's crazy. 36% of snaps this week after he just had a monster game. It really is game script. So who's to tell what the game script will be against the Chiefs? Patrick Mahomes could have a bad day. They run all over him. Tom Brady is not looking like the Tom Brady that Tampa Bay was hoping for. Every week he either has an amazing week where it's a bounce back week or he just struggles. And then Bruce Arians talks about how they haven't had time to build up a rapport, but Tom Brady still is good. He's making the right plays, but he's checking out of some plays. So it's a shit show. I'm not trusting this offense, at least not the running backs. If you have to take a shot on them, they can always pay off, but I'm not expecting too much, to be honest. At 30, we have Chase Edmunds taking on the Patriots. Looks very explosive. He's a viable pass catcher. He's a great flex play. They are taking on the Patriots. Patriots defense did hold Duke Johnson to a pretty poor game, but that means absolutely nothing to me. Duke Johnson is terrible. He might as well have played on the Patriots last week because he did not even help the Texans. Chase Edmunds, it looks to be a Browns situation where they have two viable running backs, a Washington situation, if you will. Both players look good. I'll say Chase Edmonds looks good. Drake is a little questionable, but they're giving him the workload. I like Chase Edmonds a lot. I think he's going to be very efficient in his carries and what he does in the passing game. At 29, we got Gus Edwards taking on the Steelers. Very tough matchup, but thanks to all COVID, Mark Ingram and J.K. Dobbins are out. They are on COVID reserve. And in addition to that, 5 total players have tested positive and 5 staff members have also tested positive. So this game could even be pushed back. I would definitely keep an eye on that, but I like Gus Edwards this week just because of the amount of work he should get. He's a big boy. He should get the goal line work. The Ravens offense has not looked great, if we're being honest. Lamar Jackson is a huge contributor in that, but they can always bounce back at any given time. So Gus Edwards, Gus Bus, solid play. At 28, we got Damien Harris taking on the Cardinals. Rex being out, he should see a few additional carries headed his way. Rex Burkhead was getting some goal line work. Damien Harris played 38% of snaps last week, second behind James White. So it's really going to be another game script thing. But when he's in, he's going to get the carry. That's the only thing they use him for. He's getting a good amount of carries. Last week, he had a touchdown on 11 carries. Wanted to see a little more from him, to be honest, against such a juicy matchup like the Texans. But the fact that they were down and the Texans' passing offense was clicking on all cylinders, I think that kind of game scripted him out a little bit. But I think this week against the Cardinals, they should, especially with Kyler Murray having a bit of a shoulder stinger, should be able to bounce back. At 27, we got Jonathon Taylor. Boy, what is going on here? Taking on the Titans. He played 56% of the snaps. Is it real? I truly don't know. He looked very good this week against the Packers, but something about it just I really can't trust it. He's a great player. He's a great rookie, but I don't know if he'll be able to produce like that week in and week out. If I have him, I don't know if I want to play him right away. I just want to see. I definitely take the safer approach to fantasy if I have the options, but maybe you don't and you want to take a flyer on somebody that can put up big points. I think Jonathon Taylor's your guy. Up next, we got Wayne Gallman taking on the Bengals, a terrible Bengals defense at that. And with Joe Burrow out, he should see an increased time of possession. They should be up. He should be seeing a lot of the workload. He's second in the team in the red zone for looks, and he's tied with Evan Ingram. They both have 13, but 11 of Gallman's 13 red zone looks have come in the past 4 weeks. So this guy has been a red zone machine. Last time we saw him, he went flying over some defensive linemen. He's athletic. Overall, good start rest of the season, I would say. At 25, we have David Montgomery taking on the Packers. Still currently in concussion protocol, but was available for media talks on Monday. So it looks like he's trending in the right direction. It's always a possibility he can play. If he plays, I think you have to start him just because of the potential he has to score and just his usage in the passing game. Nick Foles loves to look his way. So hopefully he can pass concussion protocol and see the field on Sunday. At 24, we have J.D. McKissic taking on the Cowboys, an offense that looks to be getting it together. Should be a pretty close game. So J.D. McKissic last week, coming down off his high, played only 52% of snaps, which is one less than Gibson. It really looks like it's a game script dependent thing for J.D. McKissic's usage. If they're down, he's going to get a lot of love. If they're up, they are probably going to lean Antonio Gibson's way. I don't see them being down in this game very often. I think it'll be either a close game or they'll just be in the lead. I don't see them being down by 21 points like they were against the Lions a couple weeks ago, but I could be wrong. Still a great player. Always has the potential to see 15 plus targets. I think he's a good flex play. If you have to start him in the RB2, I think that's also viable. At 23, we have Raheem Mostert taking on the Rams. He is designated to return from IR along with Jeff Wilson. I think they're probably going to ease him back in, though, just because of that injury history. He's a great talent. He can always make plays. Kyle Shanahan really knows how to scheme up some good plays for his running backs. So if he's in, he should see, even if he's in for half of his normal snaps, he should see some good usage and big plays. At 22, we got Kenyan Drake taking on the Patriots. Kyler Murray's a little banged up, so he may actually be able to score a touchdown this week. You never know. He had one last week. It's really all up in the air with Kenyan Drake. Never gets touchdowns, but that's Kyler Murray's fault. So hopefully him being a little banged up will actually be a benefit for the offense. Probably not, though, because they're just going to see less time of possession. But it might be a benefit for Kenyan Drake. If he can get a couple touchdowns, maybe he gets less yardage. That's what you want, though. It's all about the points here. At 21, we got James Conner taking on the Ravens. James Conner played the Jags last week. Only saw 13 carries. He did play 69% of the snaps, which is good. He had a 6.8 yards per carry, which is great. And it would make you think, oh, let's give this guy some more carries. But Benny Snell saw some carries. They were using their gadget running back in different ways. So it really is tough with this situation. I hope that he can bounce back. I hope that he can get some touchdowns. This Ravens defense is not looking good, but with all the COVID, they may be able to squeak out some good run plays here and there. At 20, we have Todd Gurley taking on the Raiders. An incredibly disappointing week for Todd Gurley. Brian Hill outsnapped him 42% to 37%. I personally think it's a little too early to give up on him, though, just because of his past performances. You know, he can get touchdowns even when he has a bad day. I think if they get him going in the first quarter, they'll probably just keep feeding him. But I think last game they tried that. He got shut down. They leaned on Hill, and Hill kind of showed what he could do. The Raiders defense, though, has been letting up points like crazy. They're one of the worst rushing defenses in the league. I think it's Todd Gurley's week to bounce back. Hopefully I'm right. Definitely not a Falcons fan, but love to see the Falcons thrive, at least just for the Atlanta homies. At 19, we got Clyde Edwards-Helaire taking on the Bucks. Had himself a day with 2 touchdowns last week. Played 51% of the snaps. Le'Veon Bell, and Darrell Williams, they both split carries at 26% snaps. So it looks like the Le'Veon Bell experiment is not going the way that everybody thought it would. It's not going to be a 50-50 split. Still Clyde's backfield. He always has an opportunity to get a bunch of points just being on that high-powered offense. I think last week really put into perspective just how crazy this guy can go, how many points he can score. The Bucs defense is tough, but I like his opportunities. I think he's a solid start. Up next, we got Giovanni Bernard taking on the Giants. And man, that Joe Burrow injury was rough. Towards ACL, his MCL, his PCL, and his meniscus, on top of having bone damage. One of the worst injuries I've seen this year. And this year has just been riddled with injuries. So prayers up. Hopefully he can make some miracle bounce back, some Adrian Peterson's type stuff. I definitely think this does affect Giovanni Bernard's outlook, though. Ryan Finley is pretty trash, if I'm being honest. 3 for 10, threw a pick, and he got sacked 4 times in less than a half of a game. It doesn't look like he's going to be doing much. It's probably going to eat into Giovanni Bernard's touchdown potential, the time of possession. On the bright side, they are going to have to lean on him. Joe Mixon's still out on IR. I think you can always play Giovanni Bernard when Joe Mixon's out, still see some production, but I would just tamper expectations now that Joe Burrow's gone. At 17, we got Salvon Ahmed taking on the Jets. He has been quite the surprise. They really know how to pick their rookie running backs down there in Miami. He played 66% of snaps last week, even with Breida back. Myles Gaskin is apparently recovering well, but the team has yet to indicate that they're going to activate him this week. So it should be his backfield. Should see a really good game against the Jets this week. I expect him to have another good outing. Up next at 16, we got Kalen Ballage taking on the Bills. He's been dominating the snap count these past 2 weeks. He had 73% and 67% these past 2. Josh Kelly is just a non-factor at this point. I think you have to worry about Troymaine Pope, just not even worried about him, though. I put a little asterisk there. There is a chance that Eckler comes back. It's not been confirmed yet. But if he doesn't, then you start Kalen Ballage against a semi-tough matchup in the Bills. He's been just really producing. He has 15 targets over the last 2 weeks. Great waiver scoop when you got him. You just keep riding him out, milk him as long as possible. At 15, we got Mike Davis taking on the Vikings. That Vikings defense, just when you think they're good, they do some good work against the Packers, and then they lose to the Cowboys. So I don't really know what to think about that defense, but Christian McCaffery is looking doubtful this week. PJ Walker, he performed well, threw 2 interceptions. Both of those interceptions were in the end zone, so that's just potential points Mike Davis could have had. So I think his upside is there. He's not showing what he did when he first got that starting role, but he's just a great player. At 14, we got DeAndre Swift taking on the Texans. Good news, he was back in practice today, which is Tuesday, in a limited fashion, but there is a good chance he can play this week. And if he does, he's an automatic start against the Texans. Texans defense, anything but good. Ever since DeAndre Swift's been given that starting role, he's really made it work, honestly. There was a quote coming out where they told Adrian Peterson, like, yo, DeAndre Swift's going to be our starting running back. And Adrian Peterson's like, yeah, you should have done that like 2 weeks ago. So when the homie AP knows, he's got juice. He's got real juice. He's athletic. He makes big plays, and he's going to be a great running back in the years to come. At 13, we got Antonio Gibson taking on the Cowboys. Had himself a great game last week. Really was worried about him, honestly, because of JD McKissick's usage and the fact that he was seeing 29 targets over a 2-week time stretch. He was playing 60 and 70% of the snaps, but it looks like Antonio Gibson has earned Ron Rivera's faith. I got a quote from him. It says, "We gave him opportunities in the Philly game, and it has paid off. He has a knack for finding the goal line and finding the crease." So, he's going to get the goal line touches. They want to establish the run game. Antonio Gibson, he just gets better every week, and his outlook gets better every week. At 12, we got Miles Sanders taking on the Seahawks, another pretty poor defense. Jordan Howard was activated, so God only knows how many touchdowns Miles Sanders is going to get taken from him on some bullshit, but probably not. Miles Sanders is so good. I think they were just trying to ease him back in. He's been performing. Last week was rough as a weather game. Carson Wentz looks like trash. They're going to want to lean on Miles Sanders just to get that offense going, if anything. We're going to move on, though. Number 11, Kareem Hunt taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Should be a very nice matchup. I see both Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt having a big day. They should see a good, hefty amount of carries, both of them. And I think Kareem Hunt can find the end zone. Also worth noting that the entire Jags defensive coaching staff is out of the building. This was Tuesday due to COVID protocol. So, that's just perfect. When you're going to get your ass beat, you just may as well take the week off. So it sucks for the Jags, but I guess if I'm a Jags defensive coach right now or a player, I am pleased as can be. I already know I'm about to take this L. Now I get to have a nice chill week while I do it. It is also worth noting that Kareem Hunt stole the goal line work last week, so could see some more of that. At 10, we got Chris Carson taking on the Eagles. He did return to practice on Tuesday. He's a talented runner. He can catch passes out of the backfield. The Eagles defense can be good, can be trash. Really just depends on how well Carson Wentz plays. Seems like they kind of thrive off the energy given from them. If the offense is just trash, they don't really, it's like, why put in the work kind of thing. But the Eagles are always in that division. The NFC least is so bad that they might fuck around and win 5 games and make it to the playoffs. So it's something to look into. I think if Chris Carson does come back, instant start as always. Up next, we got Aaron Jones taking on the Bears. Quite a tough matchup. And also worth noting that this past week, he did split carries with Jamal Williams. Split snaps, I wouldn't say. He saw more carries, but still not that huge workload you've been hoping for from Aaron Jones. I think he's going to bounce back, though. The Bears defense is tough, but they, coming off a loss, I think they kind of get stuck in this, I'm Aaron Rodgers, so I'm going to throw the ball 100 times kind of mindset, which is great because he's the GOAT and he's got one of the sickest mustache games of all time. But we're not here to talk about mustaches. We're here to talk about football. And you got to run the ball if you want your offense to succeed. So I think they're going to look to set up Aaron Jones. It's not going to be easy, but I think they'll give him the work. He always has the touchdown opportunity. Even if Jamal Williams is seeing the same amount of snaps, they're always going to give Aaron Jones the goal line passes or the goal line carries, excuse me. But it's really some tough times out here for the Aaron Jones owner. But keep your head up. I think this week's going to bounce back for you. At 8, we got Ezekiel Elliot taking on the Washington No-Names. Yeah, he played great last week. It was a pleasant surprise for all the Ezekiel Elliott owners. The boy Isaac's probably really, really living his best life this week. But, of course, none of this was Ezekiel Elliott's doing. It was all Mike McCarthy, who had the honor on Saturday and the audacity to, just pull out a sledgehammer and start smashing some watermelons up just to show the boys what he's about. Get the testosterone going, because you know what I like to see? It's watermelons being crushed with sledgehammers. And, if my head coach wants to act like a crackhead who snuck into a grocery store, that's cool with me. That's going to get me hype as fuck. So it seemed to work for all the players. They played great. Andy Dalton played great, which is honestly shocking in itself. That offense looks like it could be something to be contended with, honestly. I mean, they beat the Vikings, so let's not get crazy here, but I think against Washington, they can easily repeat what they did and maybe even perform a little bit better. At number 7, we got Josh Jacobs taking on the Falcons. Wasn't very productive last week, but still saw a good workload. The Atlanta defense played well against the Saints, but I think that was mainly due to Taysom Hill kind of easing his way into that role. He wasn't really making great decisions at first. He wasn't being decisive, but it also chalks up to it was a divisional game. So whenever a divisional game happens, Atlanta always steps up. You know that team's playbook like the back of your hand because you've been studying it for years. So I think those both play hand in hand to the defensive performance last week. So I really doubt it'll be anything similar against the Raiders. I think Josh Jacobs is going to feast. I think he's going to see 20 plus carries, maybe even a 2-touchdown game. All right, so up next, we got Austin Eckler in the 6th spot, taking on the Bills. A lot to get into here. So Tom Pelissero, he reported that the Chargers plan to designate him from IR this week, but he said it was not clear whether he will play or not. Austin Eckler also has a Twitch channel, and on his Twitch channel, he's been producing clips like crazy, talking about all this stuff. But one of the things he said was that he wants to play this week, and he will play for sure next week. He says he feel like he could have practiced this week, but the team didn't let him. He said he was like running around, pushing himself really hard, just trying to see what he could do on his hamstring, and nothing flared up. He didn't hurt himself. He said he was making cuts. He's just really going all out. And yeah, he said he was trying to see what would hurt, but I'm like, damn, dude, maybe you chill. I mean, you're on my team, so I want you to succeed. But it is good to hear. It's good to see Austin Eckler just back in the league. Honestly, he's been one of the better running backs this season in the first half. Every time Melvin Gordon went out, he can produce. So I would love to see him on that offense with Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen clicking on all cylinders. At 5, we got James Robinson taking on the Browns. The Browns have a solid run defense and a solid front line, but he is locked in for that workload. He's going to get it no matter what. They're going to feed him. Jay Gruden really knows how to whip up some good run schemes. James Robinson, he's good on the ground. He can catch passes. Luton had he had his worst game ever. He's a rookie, but I think he should be more efficient this week against a weaker secondary. So I think the time of possession should see a boost, should have more touchdown opportunities this week instead of just, a 4-pick game where every time it looked like they could potentially score, Jake Luton just ruined it. I like James Robinson this week. At 4, we got Derrick Henry taking on the Colts. I don't think there's much to be said. This guy's an absolute beast this week. Had another crazy game. Had the game-winning touchdown in overtime. I think it was a 20-plus yard run. Just some classic Derrick Henry stuff. The dude is a Madden character, and every single week he somehow shows you that he's better than you thought. Playing the Colts again, so it's a tough matchup, but they just played the Colts, and he showed that he can run on them too. So you just can't stop him, no matter who you are. At number 3, we got Nick Chubb taking on the Jags. Terrible defense. He's looked better every single week. He's still explosive. He's still fast. I think him and Kareem Hunt should have a big game this week. At number 2, we got Alvin Kamara, who for the first time in his career did not catch a pass, which is tough. And he's normally our number 1, but with Taysom Hill back there, he's just getting his touchdowns poached. I think he will have a better outing now that Taysom Hill's a little more integrated into that offense and he'll have more practice time under his belt. But it really does suck that we're not going to see those 40-point games every week like when Drew Brees was back there. At number 1, we got Dalvin Cook taking on the Panthers. I think they're going to want to bounce back. And the best way to bounce back against the Panthers' terrible run defense is to run Dalvin Cook down their throat. big game this week.
Thanks for checking out this video. If you have any issue with where we put any of these players or who we put on this list, go ahead and let us know in the comments. We can handle the heat, and we will not get out of the kitchen.
Bully us if you'd like. We're ready.
We can handle it. We're tough boys, but we are so desperate for approval. Hence the YouTube channel.